800 984 4207. 800 984 4207. That's 800 984 4207.
Is on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network and also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you search any of your favorite social media platforms, we're really easy to find. Just search Picks and Parlays. Really easy. I'm your host, Chelsa Messinger. You can find me on Twitter at Chelsa Messinger. It's my name, it's my handle, and it's also really easy to find. Today is Thursday, November the 7th. And we've got a whole slew of things to bet on these days. We've got basketball, both NBA and college basketball. And of course, we're dead in the middle of football season. We're starting to figure out who some of these teams really are. Some of the lines are getting a little sharper. So that means you really need to pay attention to our experts and what they have to say on some of these picks, because as I mentioned, the lines are getting sharper, and it means you need to bet a little smarter. On today's show, we're starting off with Premier League Soccer with Nick Geber, who has had some excellent picks as of late, and people love to keep him accountable on Twitter. So I know this firsthand because I'm always tagged in the tweets, and I see all of these people who are very grateful for his picks. And then in our second segment, we've got NFL with Chip Chirimbes, Chiefs, Titans, Rams, Steelers, and Ravens, Bengals. Don't know if you've been following the Bengals situation with A.J. Green, but today he spoke to reporters saying that he's probably not going to play on Sunday. And if the team is unhappy with that, he said there are 32 other teams that wouldn't mind looking at him. First of all, it's only 31 other teams, AJ. But granted, that situation doesn't look the best, and I can't blame him. Playing for a team that has not won a game, no need to risk further injury, I would say. And then finally today, we've got our college football rapid fire. It's a great week in college football. We've got some really great games on deck, starting with a noon game. The undefeateds, Penn State, Minnesota. 3:30, we've got LSU, Alabama, and then NC State, Clemson. It's all next on Picks and Parlays, diving into soccer after the break.
Great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities, or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30.
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for our See Better, Drive Safer sale. Right now, get a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase select Sylvania bulbs for your headlights. Plus, earn double O-Rewards points. Visit your professional parts people today at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
And now for an important announcement. Do you, or does someone you know, sweat the bed? Do you ever wake up feeling like you've been sleeping on a slip and slide? Sweating the bed is a serious but a common problem that affects your sleep, health, and happiness. Plus, it's just plain gross. But it's not you. It's your mattress. Fortunately, there is a cure. It's called Purple. Purple is the only mattress with a scientifically engineered smart comfort grid. This patented technology is designed to let air flow freely so you sleep cool. Side effects of sleeping on Purple include sleeping better, feeling better, and, well, honestly, smelling better. Try the Purple mattress risk-free for 100 nights and never sweat the bed again. And for a limited time, pick a free Purple product with your mattress purchase by texting SLEEPY to 84888. The coolest sleep of your life and a free Purple powerful product by texting SLEEPY to 84888. That's SLEEPY to 84888.
At 28, I had struggled with opiate and meth addiction for 12 years. I did and said things that the sober me never would have done. One day I realized I was not invincible. I was not exempt. And that's when a friend told me about elite rehab placement. They gave me the tools I needed to get sober, and all it took was the one phone call.
Elite Rehab can help you start to break your addiction problem and get sober in as little as 7 days. And we'll work with your insurance provider to help cover the costs. Plus, we have travel assistance programs to get you here by plane or train. Make this free call right now to learn more. 800-403-5912. 800-403-5912. 800-403-5912. That's 800-403-5912.
Welcome back to Picks and Parlays on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network and also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You've got several ways to watch or listen. Either way, we're trying to make you some money or some dosh, as Nick Gieber likes to call it. We're starting off today's show with some Premier League soccer. As I mentioned, Nick Gieber is here to flood us with some knowledge about his soccer picks that he gives us. I know he gives us some picks on Thursdays, probably some other days as well, and he also has his own show that does pretty well in those picks. Nick, hello. How are you doing?
Chelsa. And how are you doing, Chelsa? You're looking good there. I know you're. We drag you back from your maternity leave, but you're not quite there yet. How long do we have to wait, Chelsa?
About 2 weeks until I'm supposed to have a baby, but if you don't have any experience with birthing and child labor, not child labor, being in labor with a child. Babies.
What are you with? Are you with Target right now, Chelsa?
Who's laughing?
I can hear Tony Tellez laughing in the background.
I was going to say, somebody's laughing and I don't see your lips moving.
Yeah, that's not me. It's my ventriloquist. All right, well, Chelsa, listen, short of working at Target with child labor, we wish you all the best,
Child
of
labor,
course.
oh no.
But we do have
I'm already a great mom.
We do have a huge weekend ahead in the Premier League. Look, I've picked 3 great matches to get to, and we'll kind of run through them because we're short of time already. But I just want to say that this weekend is just jam-packed with really meaningful matches in the Premier League. We're going to kick it off tomorrow with a relegation 6-pointer where number 20, that's windless Watford, are going to travel to Carrow Road to face number 19 Norwich. Again, remember, 18, 19, and 20 at the end of the season, they go down to the lower league. It's unlike anything in America. Saturday, we have another relegation 6-pointer where number 17 Everton will travel to St. Mary's to take on number 18 Southampton. Remember, this is the team that got tonked 9-0 by Leicester. Spurs, they're going to try to get their season back on track when they host this season's surprise package at Sheffield United. Of course, we've got Leicester, Arsenal, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Palace, and the weekend's delicious, steaming, piping hot entree ready for everybody on Sunday. It's a huge battle, 1 and 2. Liverpool will host Manchester City, the European champions, against the champions of Europe. Chelsea, shall we start with that very match?
If you want to, we can start with the best. Let's start with Liverpool, Manchester City. As you mentioned, 1 versus 2, Liverpool plus 170 in this one. The draw is plus 240, and Manchester City is plus 170. Who do you like in this one, or what's the play?
So the current odds are plus 170 for Liverpool and 170 for Man City, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the draw's plus 240?
That's what I have.
Well, I like the draw for this one, folks. I'm going to tell you why. Look, I'm a huge Liverpool supporter. Anybody that knows me knows that I've been supporting Liverpool since I was a wee lad. But having said that, and this is their year, they are going to win the Premier League. Man City, they're the only team that beat them last season. Of course, they did beat Man City for the return leg. I predict this is going to be a draw, and here's why. Liverpool's front 3 are not scoring quite as prolifically as they have in the last 2 seasons. That's not bad. It's not the worst thing in the world because they've been doing it just like they did last season with a very, very stingy defense. In fact, the only defense that's stingier is Leicester City, and that's only by 1 goal. Man City, on the other hand, now they are second in the league, 25 points. They're 8-1-2 on the season. By the way, Liverpool 10-0-1. They're unbeaten. On the other side, City's prolific attack has been what's kept them in the title race with the likes of Sergio Aguero, Raheem Sterling. Look, this team is scoring an average of 3 goals a game, and that is a huge amount if you know anything about the Premier League. That's a lot of goals to score on average. They have a few injuries at Man City. They've got David Silva, Leroy Sané, and Laporte is injured. That's certainly not helpful, but this is at Anfield, so you have to kind of swing it a little bit in Liverpool's favor. But look, these teams, they battle it out. These are the 2 best teams in England, and certainly 2 of the top 4 teams in Europe, probably. I think this one smells like a draw to me, plus 240 Chelsea.
Right, and you get a little value with that as well. Let's go on to Newcastle and Bournemouth. Newcastle, the odds have shifted a bit in this one. It started off at, I believe, 153, plus 153, shifted to plus 160. Draw is plus 220. Bournemouth is plus 175. And as I mentioned, a lot of these odds are changing as we speak. So depending on the price that you get, make your best decision. But who do you like in this one?
Yeah, this is Newcastle Bournemouth. So this is at St James's Park. This is in Newcastle. And look, neither one of these teams have been lighting up the goal scoring records as of late. Bournemouth have only scored 3 goals in their last 5 matches. While Newcastle's fared just a little better. They scored 5 in their last 5. Bournemouth have only won 1 in their last 5, and that was last week's 1-0 unlikely win over Manchester United. Those bastards, they cost me my perfect record. I hate them. Okay, having said that, though, Newcastle are finally showing a little life under boss Steve Bruce. They're 2-2-1 in their last 5. They've got losses to Chelsea and Leicester. I mean, there's no shame in that. They also haven't lost at home, though, since the opening day of the season, which was a 1-0 loss to Arsenal. A win here would get them well clear of the drop zone. And actually, I think Bournemouth have been overachieving a little bit. Their lack of ability to score, is really problematic. I like Newcastle for this one, Chelsea. You're telling me it's plus 163? That's up. I had it at plus 153, so that's even better value. Take it, take it, take it.
All right, let's move on to Leicester City and Arsenal. And some line movement on this one as well. We're seeing it at plus 106. Some places even have them at minus 102. Nick was, I think before the show we were talking, you had it at plus 132. So I think some money is coming in on Leicester City. The draw is plus 273 and Arsenal is plus 262. So first of all, let's talk about this line movement and what you think that means, and then also your opinion.
Well, I mean, honestly, it means that the punters are starting to realize what I've known all along, which is that this is, number one, a really exciting fixture. Leicester City are flying high. They're 3rd spot on the table on the back of, quite frankly, one of the youngest teams in the league, a very young manager whose results are finally keeping pace with his potential. Look, he was at Swansea, he was at Liverpool, he was at Celtic then, he got new teeth, he got a new wife, he moved to Leicester. Everything worked beautifully for Brendan Rodgers. He's considered really one of the best British managers out there. The Foxes are 7-2-2 and are 6-1 in their last 7. I love this team, by the way. My friend John Barr at Finley Toyota picked them to finish in the top 4. Before the season, he put a big bet on it, and it is certainly going to pay for him. On the other side of the equation, you've got Arsenal, and they have to be looking up at Leicester in 3rd spot saying, hey, wait a minute, that's where we're supposed to be. We kind of used to end every season in the top 4, well, until recently. Arsenal are an absolute disaster under Unai Emery. Look, this team just isn't good enough. I'm sorry, Gooners. I don't mean any insult, but your team is just pure crap. And, there was no better example of that than this midweek Europa League fixture where they gave up a 91st minute goal to Vitória Guimarães of Portugal in the Europa League for a 1-1 draw. Last second goals, the Gunners have been conceding them all season long. Look, this is just not a good side. And I predict Leicester City at home at the King Power, going to get another win. 3 points for Leicester. Oh, plus 132 would have been juicy. You're telling me it's now down to 106. So be it. Take the 106 because Leicester going to win this one.
As always, great stuff from Nick. Also, Nick, where can people find you if they want to hear even more soccer talk?
Well, thank you, Chelsa. Thank you so much for asking. It's very kind of you indeed, because I appear every Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. on the left coast, on Sirius XM 211, Dan Patrick Sports, and the Sports Byline Radio Network, and American Forces, and the award-winning Sirius XM app, where I give you this street soccer. We do this every day of the week. It is the only truly nationally syndicated radio show covering soccer in this country. And folks, you want to tune in. Don't be a numpty. Have some great football talk, some good footy talk with me.
Yeah, and you can also make a little money on the side. Speaking of, I will not be talking about child labor in our next segment, I promise. Before Protective Services talks about taking away my baby already. I haven't even had it yet. We're back after the break talking NFL on Picks and Parlays.
Cheap flights or cheap tickets? Then call. That's right. Call the low-cost airline travel hotline now for prices so low we can't publish them anywhere. Low-cost airlines has all kinds of cheap travel deals. Fly domestically and save up to 75%. You can even fly internationally and save even more. Yes, fly anywhere in the world and save a lot of money on your plane tickets. We'll even save you money with cheap travel deals on hotels, rental cars, even complete travel packages. So don't book your tickets until you call us first for the absolute cheapest prices on U.S. and international airline tickets and hotels. Call right now for prices so low they can't be published. Travel experts are here 24/7 to help. 800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. That's 800-754-4531.
If you or a loved one is suffering from a physical or emotional condition that has left you unable to work, then listen carefully. Take this number down. 800-593-7491. That's 800-593-7491. When you call, you'll speak with a Social Security disability expert and get a free evaluation to see if you may qualify for disability insurance benefits from the U.S. government. That's right, a monthly cash payment paid directly to you from the Social Security Administration. Whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied disability benefits, call now. The disability attorneys at Pinnacle Disability can help you build your case, file an appeal, and represent you at no upfront cost to you. Don't wait another minute to see if you may qualify for your Social Security disability benefits. Call Pinnacle Disability Group at 800-593-7491 for your free case evaluation. That's 800-593-7491. 800-593-7491. Call now.
This is an urgent health notice for all residents suffering from back, neck, knee, and wrist pain. You may qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you, but the deadline is fast approaching. Simply call the Health Alert Hotline now.
You heard right. You may qualify for a pain-relieving back, neck, knee, or wrist brace. These items may even be covered by Medicare or your private insurance. The Health Alert Hotline is your brace company. These specialized braces have been tested for pain relief. Call us toll-free right now to determine your eligibility and to learn how to use your private insurance or Medicare to minimize your out-of-pocket cost. Don't wait. If the deadline passes, you may lose your opportunity to get a pain-relieving back, neck, knee, or wrist brace at little or no cost to you.
800-430-9571. 800-430-9571. 800-430-9571. That's 800-430-9571.
Two Picks and Parlays on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network and also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you search Picks and Parlays, we're usually the first thing that pops up. Always easy to find if you want to tune in that way. I'm your host, Chelsa Messinger. You can find me here on the show, obviously, but also on Twitter if you want to drop me a line. My handle is just my name, at Chelsa Messinger. Right now, we're diving into some NFL with Chip Chirimbes, who always keeps me guessing with his ties. Chip, what's on your tie today?
Well, we're so hot, I decided to do something that had to do with fire. We're like the phoenix rising after that 0-5 Saturday I told you about. 16-4 in the last 20 college releases, 14-6 in the NFL, and we've got some great NFL action going, not only tonight, which is on the website, but for today's analysis as well.
Right, and I see you're also 85% on your NBA picks.
Yeah,
Not too shabby.
No, we've been trotting right along, you know, very disciplined and starting the season quite quickly in the NBA, whereas in college football we had a slow start and now we're coming on like gangbusters. It's our time of the year, Chelsea. There's so many great events going on right now between the college football, college basketball is now underway, NBA, and of course the NFL.
Right, so let's dive in to some NFL talk. And let's start with the Chiefs and the Titans. The Chiefs are favored in this one, -6. I'm seeing the total as 48, but since we don't know for certain the status of quarterback Patrick Mahomes, there's been a lot of speculation, and this number definitely could change. The Titans are 4-5 and 4-5 against the spread. Chiefs 6-3, 5-4 against the spread. As I mentioned, it's going to be a big difference if Patrick Mahomes can play. That being said, Matt Moore's been pretty serviceable as their backup. Initial thoughts on this one?
Well, my initial thoughts are the key, like you had mentioned, is will Patrick Mahomes be in the lineup? Will he be playing? And how effective might he be? They're anticipating him to be playing here with this line at 5.5 and 6, like you had mentioned, because earlier in the week there were 3.5s when there were doubts as to whether he would be in there. So if he's not there, it changes the whole dynamics possibly of the game. But you know, Tennessee has to come and play defense no matter who Kansas City puts out there on offense. They're bringing Ryan Tannehill to play quarterback, and of course Travis Henry has gotten stronger as the season's gotten along. He's getting healthy.
Not Travis Henry, Derrick Henry. Travis Henry used to play for used to be a great running back, but continue.
I'm always transposing
did he play for the Bills?
names.
Travis Henry?
I'm always transposing names. You know, I'll be calling the Steelers the Pirates and things along those lines. So you're going to have to bear with me somewhat.
Well, your picks are good. That's all that matters.
You know, as long as I'm coming up with a winner when you log on, I guess that's the way to look at it. But Tennessee has gone over 6 of their last 8 at home, and Kansas City has been amazing on the road. They've gone 18-7 against the points on the road, but only 2-5 when they've gone and played at Tennessee. The quarterback situation has this game in flux, but one thing that is manageable here is that Kansas City is 11-4 in their last 14 road games. The Titans are 6-2 over in their last 8 home games. I think the way to go here, no matter who's quarterbacking, exploit the weak defenses and play the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs to go over the total.
One stat that I mentioned last week that I have noticed as a Titans fan, the Titans are actually 3-0 to the over when Tannehill is quarterback, as opposed to 5 of 7 to the under when Mariota is quarterbacking. And granted, you can't pin that all on Tannehill because the offense has still been struggling, and it's been a team that's really hard to trust as a bettor. Not only have they've covered in 2 of their last 3, but it's been a tough team to watch. They had 11 penalties for 99 yards in their last game, a 30-20 loss against the Panthers. So as a bettor, I would not want to bet the Titans.
Well, it's tough. Since they lost McNair, I mean, they really haven't had that quarterback that they've been looking for. Mariota's been a major disappointment. I mean, coming out of Oregon with his speed and his quickness and accuracy, I thought he'd be able to make it in the NFL, but, you know, he's very fragile, and he hasn't gained weight like a number of the other quarterbacks as the seasons and as their career progresses so that they can stave off injury. He's been very fragile, and the Tennessee offense has suffered because of it. But like you said, with Tannehill, maybe they have a few more options, and they're a little buoyed by his presence. I think this game goes over.
Right, and another thing of note, Malcolm Butler, the Titans' star cornerback, he is out for this game. And also, the defense has been trending downward. Last week, they allowed 30 points, and then it was 23 the week before that, and 20 the week before that. And previously, 20 points had been the most points they had allowed in any of their games. So the defense showing some holes as of late. Let's move on to another game on the schedule. Let's go Rams-Steelers, an interesting one here. Rams are -3.5. The total sits at, I think it's 44.
44.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It could be a 9.
It's 44.
Handwriting's really
And
great.
by the way, I'm still wondering why Malcolm Butler hasn't played for the Patriots in the Super Bowl yet. But the Rams come up after a bye week, and they haven't had a real football game in 4 weeks, Chelsea, because they come off playing Atlanta and Cincinnati. And now they have a bye week. This team has been soft so far this season. Maybe they're gearing up for the second half of the year, because as Super Bowl loser, sometimes it's pretty tough to start the season on top, knowing that it's a drudgery and you have to still win in the playoffs. The Rams' Goff has been kind of inconsistent. It's sort of like they've sleptwalked through the first half of the season. But I want to tell you something about Pittsburgh. Now, here's a Steeler team that started the year, Chelsea, losing 33-3 against the Patriots. And I think most people from that point on really sort of wrote them off and said, you know, they don't have big chest, small brain Brown with them anymore. And they don't have, of course, Roethlisberger's hurt. But they've scored 26, 20, 27, 23, 24, 27, and 26, no matter who was quarterbacking. So I think with Mason Rudolph maturing, and this team having had 19 turnovers to their benefit this season, I think this game against the Rams goes over the total. I don't think the Rams are where they were last year when they made it to the Super Bowl. And I think that Pittsburgh might be able to pull the upset. I don't know point spread-wise. I'm more convinced that this game will go over the total.
Some injury notes on this one. Brandon Cooks, wide receiver for the Rams, he's out for this one. And also, I'm wondering if Todd Gurley's ever going to step up and be that running back that they expect him to be. Right now, he's only averaging 3.9 yards per carry. Meanwhile, the Steelers' defense has looked a little better. They're third in the NFL in interceptions and also second in turnover differential. So I think some people like the Steelers here, but I don't know. It's hard to trust this team.
You talked about load management, I guess is what we'd call it with Todd Gurley, and I agree with you. This team had more balance and more explosiveness when he was healthy. Is he healthy? We still can't figure it out. I mean, this guy had a major operation before the Rams drafted him, and then came out and had a great season, and then toward the end of the season, they just virtually negated his impact and didn't use him very much at all. I think that's part of the problem here with the Rams is they don't have that running game, and Gurley has been the big question mark.
Right, but you like did you say over or under?
Yeah, I like it to go over because of the Steelers. They seem to be vulnerable. They create turnovers and score points. I just think on a situation here that there's going to be a running up and down the field with these two teams or a passing. Pittsburgh knows they have to score some points. They're a little bit more vulnerable on defense. It is no longer the steel curtain that we once believed in previously. But I think this game should go over the total.
All right, let's move on to an AFC North matchup here. The Ravens and the Bengals squaring off here. The Ravens are -10. Total is 44. And the Ravens, of course, probably the highest they've been on the hype train since they're coming off that big win over the Patriots in dominant fashion. They're 6-2, 3-4-1 against the number. Bengals are 0-8, 3-6 against the spread. Chip, what's the number you like on this one? The total, the Ravens, or the Bengals?
I'm gonna take a side in this game, and I'll give you one of the reasons. Is obviously the kind of game that the Ravens had over New England. I mean, the whole country was there to see it. They totally dominated them. And, of course, they're going to have a lot of self-confidence. And I think that they're going to end up laughing. When they start watching the film of this Cincinnati Bengal team, who has yet to win a game and needs to win a game desperately, they're going to be wondering, and they're going to understand why the Cincinnati Bengal fans are chanting they want Marvin Lewis back there, because they just don't produce. They are starting a rookie quarterback out of NC State, Ryan Finley. Now, he threw the ball there at that level, and a lot of these new rookie quarterbacks getting their initial starts, Chelsea, have done fairly well. I mean, we've seen it happen in New York with Jones, who's then come back to the pack. We saw Gardner Minshew play well. Maybe he's going to step up, but Cincinnati needs a win in the worst way. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this, and I think they're hungry. I think the Bengals are more hungry than Baltimore. The Ravens are 0-4 the last 4 times they've gone to Cincinnati. And more importantly, the Ravens don't seem to be able to get up for teams with losing records. They got up for the Patriots last week, and we all saw that. And we all saw their intensity the entire game. Can they do that? Will they do that? Are they willing to do that this week? I doubt it. They're 0-6 against teams with losing records against the point. So Jackson's their leading rusher, and they certainly have a dynamic offense the way Harbaugh has it set up. You've got an extra blocker when your quarterback is your main running back, and whether he's going to be tested to throw the ball, we don't know here, Chelsea, and it may not matter because I think this game sets up all about attitude. The attitude is the Bengals are hungry and they'll be scraping and clawing, and the Ravens are probably going to sleepwalk through this knowing that this 0-8 team, when it comes to the fourth quarter, they can turn it on when they want and win, and I don't expect them to cover this point spread.
You're an experienced bettor. What do you think? Obviously, we talked about the Ravens being on a national stage and obliterating the Patriots. Do you think this number's too high, and is that why you're taking the Bengals? Do you think just the public consensus is a little skewed too much?
No, I'm not. It's not the number, and usually I do really take the number into consideration. I think it's the situation. The Ravens coming off that huge win, the notoriety, they've been carrying it with themselves all week, and the fact that the Bengals had 2 weeks to get ready, and these teams that are desperate, if you notice Miami, before they won, they were a point spread darling. They had covered the spread 3-4 times, and it just looks like that's the way it's going to go to me.
All right, as always, great NFL talk from Chip Chirimbes, who's also been really hot with a lot of his picks, so listen up. We're back after the break with college football rapid fire here on Picks and Parlays.
Are you or someone you love one of the nearly 1 million Americans living with Parkinson's disease? Every person's experience with Parkinson's is unique, and for many patients and families, that can be one of the most challenging aspects. The Michael J. Fox Foundation built a guide to health. Visit michaeljfox.org/PD360 to download the Parkinson's 360, a guide for navigating the disease. It's free and available right now. That's michaeljfox.org/PD360. Visit today.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip, or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1780. 855-325-1780. That's 855-325-1780.
Men, if you want to pee easier, listen to this.
A new Nobel Prize discovery was just proven in a clinical trial to help men pee 241% more, ending multiple trips to the bathroom and the constant urge to go. This breakthrough is finally available in a pill called Prostavive LS, developed by famed men's health expert Dr. Al Sears, and for a limited time, you can get a free bottle. Call 800-769-8155. Patients who've taken Prostavive LS are singing its praises.
Hi, my name is Paul, and I'm 73 years old. I used to get up multiple times a night to go to the bathroom, but after taking Prostavive LS, I now sleep through the night.
Prostavive LS does not require a prescription, and there are no side effects. But this free bottle is not available in stores. Call 800-769-8155 to get your free bottle of this Nobel Prize-winning discovery proven in clinical trials to help men pee 241% more. That's 800-769-8155.
For professional staffing, there's only one name you need to know: Robert Half. Robert Half custom matches our candidates to your specific hiring requirements by combining personalized service from local staffing experts with an advanced matching technology based on 70 years of successful placements. For highly skilled accounting, finance, IT, legal, marketing, or administrative staffing, count on Robert Half. We'll find you productive, engaged employees. Learn more at roberthalf.com/radio.
Welcome back to Picks and Parlays on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, and also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm your host, Chelsa Messinger. You can find me every day on Twitter. My handle is just my name, at Chelsa Messinger. Right now, we are to the part of the show where we do college football rapid fire. That means a lot of games, a lot of picks, and hopefully a lot of ways to make some money. We've got Craig Trapp, we've got Tony T, both joining us for a great week of college football. Some weeks in college football are kind of a snooze fest. This is not one of them. We start off bright and early, out of the gates, especially on the West Coast, with a matchup of two undefeated teams, Penn State and Minnesota. Number 5 Penn State is favored in this one, -6.5. The total is 48. As I might have mentioned, maybe I forgot, both of these teams are undefeated. However, the resume is a little stronger for Penn State, probably why they're favored, and they're also in the top 4 in the college football playoff rankings. Tony T, let's start with you. Who do you like in this one?
All right, we're looking forward to this week, this month. The best month in college football is November. And I'm going to take the points with Minnesota +7. We see the total in this one, 47. But, well, Penn State will face the best offensive opponent on the road this year. And, of course, the Golden Gophers offense, they have been moving the football. I'll be against, not the strongest schedule, but you got to play who's in front of you. And they've been able to move the football 463 yards. And they're defending home opponents to 232 yards, 48% completion rate. They did pound Nebraska at home. And of course, we saw Penn State's toughest test on the road. Struggled getting points in a win at Iowa, but Tanner Morgan has been accurate this season against the Big Ten. And the Lions offense less than 300 yards their past 3 games. I'm going to go ahead and take the points in this one with Minnesota +7.
Minnesota is also 5-0 against the spread in their last 5. Craig, do you like Minnesota in this one, or are you going the other direction?
I'm actually going to the total here. I think this Penn State team, they've been really good on defense. In fact, the under has cashed 5 of the last 6 games. I think, like Tony said, this Minnesota's defense has been pretty good as well. But, of course, maybe some questionable competition. But I think this week it's going to be a lot about defense here. I think the total says that, 47.5. I still like the under in this one. I think this is going to be a really good game. I think if I was taking the side, I do think I would take the home underdog here, as I think, just don't forget Penn State has some crucial games on the schedule with Ohio State coming up, which also is in the top 4 of the playoffs as well. So let's take the under 47.5 as our top play, though.
Next up, we've got Baylor and TCU. Number 11, Baylor is favored in this one, -2.5. The over-under is 48. Baylor, of course, is 8-0 this season, 4-4 against the spread. TCU, 4-4 and 3-5 against the spread. Tony T, starting with you, do you like Baylor in this one or TCU?
Yeah, we've seen a line move here. TCU did open favorite. Now it's Baylor favorite 2.5. I'm going to take the points, the home underdog again with the Horned Frogs. Hey, look, they have Baylor's number. They've won 4 straight against the Bears, 8 of their past 10 head-to-head meetings. At home against the Big 12, well, the Horned Frogs have wins against the Longhorns and Jayhawks. I'm kind of looking at the home road splits, kind of favoring TCU in this one because their quarterback, Max Duggan, kind of been up and down. But at home, he has his act together, 70% completion rate. And, of course, 273 yards against Texas and 73% completion rate against Kansas. Baylor's past 3 games, their defense, though, give up a lot of yards here, nearly 400 yards, 251 passing. And I prefer to take the points here, the home underdog with TCU.
Craig, what's the play on this one for you?
Well, usually when the line moves like this, when you go from having the home favorite to the home underdog, usually I would be with Tony here with TCU. But this Baylor defense has been pretty good, and I think that's the key here. I think it's going to be a little lower scoring than probably what we would expect in past years with Baylor and TCU squaring off. And I think Baylor does just enough at that 2.5. I would be careful here. If it goes to 3, I think I wouldn't play this game. But as it is right now, it looks like it'll stay at 2.5. We'll take Baylor -2.5 in a really good Big 12 matchup. Hopefully, if you have the ability to watch this, and you can.
All right, moving on to what some people are calling the game of the century. And if you have ears, you've probably heard somebody talking about this game. It's LSU at Alabama. Alabama's favored -6 in this one. The over-under is 63. LSU and Alabama, of course, both in that college football playoff top 4. So this game has big implications for both teams in the SEC West. So a big title matchup in this one. When it comes to the SEC, it could be some foreshadowing of I forgot where my trail of thought was going. I'm sorry. But let's keep going. LSU 8-0, Alabama 8-0. Tony T, let's start with you. Who do you like in the game of the century?
Well, I'm going to take the points again. I'm going to take LSU plus the 6. Tua looks like he's going to play. All the indications are that he's healing from that injury, and the process is going good. That was reported yesterday. But I just like the look of this Tigers offense. Over their past 3 games, they're averaging 477 yards and 163 on the ground. But Joe Burrow, LSU quarterback in that span, 313 yards passing, 77% completion rate. Those numbers came against Auburn, a down Mississippi State team, but Florida. So 2 really good teams there. Alabama, you got to deal with concerns, of course. How is that ankle going to handle this type of game for Tua? Will it be wrapped? So take a look at his ankle there. If you're into in-game to see how he's moving around, take a look at his flexibility. And, of course, my concern here is how the Alabama defense looked against the 2 best quarterbacks they faced in Kellen Mond and Helinski from South Carolina. They allowed 264 yards passing to the Aggies, 324 to the Gamecocks. And we saw what Clemson did to Alabama's defense in that championship game. I'm going to take the points here with LSU.
Also, something to keep in mind, Alabama has won the past 8 straight in this matchup, including last year's 29-0 win. So Alabama might have LSU's number, and Joe Burrow was there last year, and they got shut out. Granted, he's doing a lot better this season, a Heisman Trophy candidate. Craig, do you like the points in this one, or do you like the Tide?
Well, actually, this is my top play of the week, my SEC game of the week going here, and I think this is going to be a heck of a matchup. Of course, Joe Burrow is actually the Heisman front runner right now as far as the odds are concerned. So this could be a big win for him for the Heisman, his Heisman chances, and then of course Tua coming back. But I have this as my SEC game of the week. You can get it at picksandparlays.net.
All right, moving on to Iowa and Wisconsin, number 16. Wisconsin favoring this one -9.5. The total is really low in this one, 38, but for good reason. Iowa has made a living off of their defense. The under is hit in 6 of the last 7. Tony, who do you like, or what's the play in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the points here. Iowa plus 9.5. I just think it's a little too many points here. This looks to be a defensive struggle with such a low total. But as you said, the Hawkeyes making a living with their defense, holding teams to 285 yards, and they're defending the run at 2.6 yards per attempt. And I just don't know how Jack Doan is going to be able to throw this football downfield. He completes fewer than half of his passes in 5 of his past 6 games. Actually, in 6 of his past 8 games, I should say. He just has not been accurate throwing the football downfield. It's going to be one of those grinders here, but I'm going to take the points here with Iowa.
All right, Craig, agree, disagree, or do you like a side?
I do agree. I think Iowa is a strong play this week. Almost made my Big Ten game of the week, actually, because I just think Iowa's defense will be able to take the run away, at least enough to keep it within single digits. And with that line being at 9.5, I just think Iowa's the play here. I think Iowa obviously showed against Michigan where, they didn't do anything on offense. They still kept it within single digits. I think you're going to see a similar low-scoring game, even though at the total of 38, I would also lean on the under as well, as Iowa gets it done against the spread at the worst this week.
Next up, we've got number 20, Kansas State at Texas. Texas is favored in this one, -7. The over-under is 58. K-State is 6-2 and also 6-2 against the spread. Texas, meanwhile, is 5-3 and 4-4 against the spread. Tony, what's jumping out to you about this game?
Well, a lot is, Chelsea. I like this game a lot. It's going to probably be one of my best plays releases of the weekend from college football. Find it right now at picksandparlays.net. It's a premium play.
All right, Craig, what you got for us? Well, I thought Kansas State was pretty impressive in what would have been a huge letdown spot, of course, after beating Oklahoma last week. Had no trouble with rival Kansas. And I think Kansas State continues the good money for bettors here, as they've been very good this year and in years past, let's be honest, as underdogs. Of course, new coach this year, but it hasn't mattered. I think Kansas State at +7 here. We saw this line open, I think, either 5 or 5.5. Now it's up to 7. So I'm going to take Kansas State with the points here. I just think Kansas State, their ability to both run and pass, their balance is going to be hard to stop for a Texas defense that has not been good this year. Let's take Kansas State in the points.
Right. Texas defense has been non-existent at times. And speaking of defenses that have been non-existent, let's move on to Iowa State and Oklahoma. The total in this one is 67.5. And Oklahoma is favored minus 14.5. Oklahoma, of course, has that offense that can score points in bunches, but of course they're coming off that loss to K-State, 48-41. Yeah, that's a high total in that one too. Tony T, where are you leaning?
Yeah, I'm going to look at taking the points here. Iowa State plus 14. Yes, I'm aware that Oklahoma may need style points, but Iowa State is no, they're going to come out here and play. They've been very competitive the past 3 seasons against the Sooners, covering the past 3 meetings. Now, Cyclones on this season, they played to many close games. They haven't lost by more than a touchdown. As we know about Oklahoma's loss there at Kansas State, they failed to cover 3 of their past 4 after that road loss. Iowa State, they are moving the football. Kind of one of these under-the-radar teams. 468 yards of offense here for this team, 329 through the air, and that's what I want. I want a quarterback who's accurate. That's Brock Purdy, 68% of his completion percentage right now, and I'm going to go ahead and take the points here with Iowa State plus the 14.
Before the show, Craig and I were talking about this total being 67.5. Craig, are you touching this with a 10-foot pole, or are you picking a side?
Yeah, I like as crazy as it is, 67.5 sounds like a lot, but not when you face an Oklahoma defense that, I mean, they give up 40 to basically just about anybody in the Big 12. And the Big 12, obviously not known for their defense. Iowa State's offense, I think, is going to easily put up 30 here. Oklahoma, they put up 45 in their sleep. So I think this one goes over in the 70s, easily going over here. So let's take the over 67.5. I also think that the points are good here as well. I think Iowa State, and I even see some 14.5s out there. So that would make it even better coming off the key number 14, of course.
And our final game of the slate has a very low number, Nevada, San Diego State. The total in this one is 39. 39. And San Diego State is favored minus 17.5. Tony T, what are these numbers telling you, and who do you like?
I like the Wolfpack here, Nevada plus 17.5. I know this line has been pushed up because we've seen Nevada's struggles on the road here against Wyoming and Utah State. But I'm going to tell you right now, I think the Cowboys and Aggies offense is better than San Diego State's. Really, it's been a disappointment for this Aztec team. They're only averaging about less than 23 points a game against the Mount West. Their last win was 20-13 against a bad UNLV team. They do have a home loss to Utah State, scoring only 17. And of course, again, the thing with the Aztecs is they're only running the football at home for 2.7 yards a carry. You know, that was their bread and butter, was their ground attack. You know, we've seen a lot of their running backs in the NFL. I think that's going to come to a stop. They're just not getting the job done offensively. The quarterback has not been accurate. And this freshman quarterback from Nevada, Carson Strong, 65% completion rate against the Mountain West. He's shown improvement. Give me the points here with Nevada.
All right, quickly, Craig, who do you like?
Easy. Under 39 here. Both of these teams 4-1 to the under the last 5 games. I think trend continues. I know it's a low total. They're telling you that for a reason. Under 39, Nevada at San Diego State.
All right, just in time. That's our college football rapid fire picks. We're back after the break on Picks and Parlays.
Attention to anyone that's written a book or wants to write a book. The process is not that complicated. Take a first step. Even if you write a page a day, you'll build momentum and your book will become a reality. The hard part is getting it published. That's when you need to call Page Publishing. They've got hundreds and hundreds of thank yous from different new authors, just like you. They make the process of publishing your new book and getting it sold online a simple process. You can learn how simple it is right now by calling for your free Page Publishing New Author Submission Kit. One quick 3-minute phone call, that's all it takes to get free information and learn how you can get your book published. Pick up your phone right now and call us 24 hours a day at this number, 800-603-0885, 800-603-0885, 800-603-0885. That's 800-603-0885.
Not too long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, didn't it? For a vacation or a new car. But today, withdrawing your own cash has become risky. Pat Boone here for Swiss America. According to the Secret War, a new Swiss America white paper, I learned that all banks are now required to spy on you and me for the government, and then report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. You must read The Secret War. It's free. Truth is, I believe the government's new war against cash is really a war against us all. But The Secret is now out. So please, get and read The Secret War.
Pick up your phone and call right now. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. Once again, that's 800-932-5517.
Attention business owners. Are you struggling while waiting for your customers to pay on their net 30, 60, or 90-day invoices? Can't get a business loan? Have no equity? Bad credit? Or maybe no credit at all? Then you need to call AmeriFactors right now. AmeriFactors will give you cash for your invoices and there's nothing to pay back. We simply buy your account receivables, and if those clients don't pay on the invoices, we take the loss. We give you funds based on your account receivables, not your credit. And 98% of all applicants are approved. It's that simple. With AmeriFactors, there's no more waiting for your customers to pay. We give you the funds up front, then we wait for your customers to pay us. Fund your business today. Call AmeriFactors right now.
800-847-1183. 800-847-1183. 800-847-1183. That's 800-847-1183.
Welcome back to Picks and Parlays on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, and also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, all of your favorite social media sites. If you want to find us, just search Picks and Parlays. We're really easy to find on all of those platforms. I am your host, Chelsa Messinger. You can find me right here, and also on Twitter at Chelsa Messinger is my handle if you want to give me a shout. We had a jam-packed show today. It's crazy to me that we have an hour show, and it just seems like it flies by, and we barely have enough time to cover all of these games, but we want to give you the most picks and the most value in our little time slots. Right now, we're going to recap all of our picks from the day in case you were snoozing, or if you're just now tuning in, no worries. We got you covered. Let's start with Premier League Soccer from Nick Gieber. Leicester City Arsenal taking Leicester City plus 132. Bournemouth taking Newcastle plus 153. And then the big one, Liverpool, Manchester City. Nick likes the draw at plus 240. Moving on to our NFL picks with Chip Chirimbes, Kansas City, Tennessee. He likes the over to hit 47.5 in that one. Baltimore, Cincinnati taking the Bengals plus 10. And then the LA Rams at the Steelers taking the over to hit 44. Moving on to our college football rapid fire segment, Craig Trapp gave us these picks. Penn State, Minnesota taking the under 47.5. Iowa, Wisconsin taking Iowa plus 9.5. K-State, Texas taking Kansas State plus 7. Tony T also gave us some picks. Penn State, Minnesota. He likes the Golden Gophers. Minnesota in this one plus 7. LSU, Alabama taking LSU. And the points, they're plus 6.5 in that one. Nevada, San Diego State taking Nevada, the Wolfpack, to cover plus 17.5. K-State, Texas, and check Picks and Parlays for his premium pick. Those are our picks on Picks and Parlays. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow on Picks and Parlays.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.